Passover celebrates the Jewish people's escape from captivity, just like the Writers Guild Association hopes to do come May 1st. Wow, that's a stretch. When the contract between the WGA and the studios comes to an end, is that a fair comparison? Yes. And here to explain why, it's Guild member and longtime friend of the pod. Welcome to the stage, Adam Conover. Hi, Adam.
How's it
It's
going?
good to see you.
Oh, right here. Oh, next
Now-
to the Kinder Eggs. Right.
Next to the Kinder Eggs. Listen, now I want to talk to you about this WGA issue because I think a lot of people at home don't know what's coming, and I think it's a very big deal.
Yeah.
Because it affects TV, and that's the most important thing. But before we get to that, there's something I need to tell you.
Sure, please.
Which is this. Over years of you coming on this show, I have taken a position, and I've taken a position that I consider one of great nuance and intellectual honesty, and one that required me to stand against the tide in a sense. And the position was this. I understand that Elon Musk seems stupid, but he can't possibly be stupid because he's created these companies and been part of these incredible breakthroughs that I respect and admire. And therefore, while his public persona seems like that of an absolute stone-cold fucking moron, that must just be a persona, and behind the scenes, he must be smarter than that. And I've tried to hold on to that.
This is so validating.
like cotton candy in a fucking hurricane. And Adam, I wanted to tell you personally on stage, on a microphone, I cannot defend this point of view at all.
Yes! Yes!
And much as I came to learn when Ben Carson ran for president that being a brain surgeon is easier than it looks, I have come to accept your position. No one could be smart and do what he has been doing to Twitter.com publicly over the last year. And I humbly say to you, you win. I lose. You were right. I was wrong. And I'm sorry. And I'm sorry I put you through that. And I'm sorry I held out as long as I did.
I've been coming on this show for years, and every time, about 7 minutes through, I start yelling at you. He's just a fucking idiot. and this guy would say, yeah, but the cars go fast. Like, over and over again. It's got an iPad on the console. Did you see?
Hey,
it does. But the door fucking falls off. And what's incredible is since he started at Twitter, all the Tesla engineers have been saying, this is how he runs Tesla too. It's the same shit, and that's why the door falls off the car all the time. Does that happen to your Tesla? The door fall off?
The thing rattles. It's like it feels like driving a mousetrap through the city.
Let me just say, people will tell me, Tesla drivers, if people have a Tesla, that's fine. Drive your fucking car, But people say, oh, I love how fast it is. I love that acceleration. I love hitting that gas and going. You know who that feels great for? The driver. You know who it doesn't feel great for? The fucking passengers in the car. There is nothing more nauseating than getting a ride in your friend's Tesla. It's like, whoa! Just like...
You're talking about a cool thing and you're just doing a weird performance.
No. Why are you back on that? You're again with you defending the car.
I'm just sharing my truth. I'm gonna throw out a term here, which is called sore winner. Let's just take the fucking win. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The horse is dead.
I'm glowing. Feels so good.
Let's talk about this issue. So I don't think a lot of people at home may not know that this is going on. So basically, the WGA has been in negotiations with the studios about a contract for a while. The WGA has just gone to all the writers and said, hey, authorize us to do a strike if we need to.
We're taking a strike authorization. And by the way, you said I'm a member. I'm also on the board of directors and the negotiating committee, I should say.
Oh, I didn't know that. I forgot. Okay, so you're in it. You're on the Zooms.
Yes, we were in negotiations for 2 weeks, and actually we were in negotiations yesterday as we say this, but we're taking a strike authorization vote over the next couple weeks. Yeah.
And so just so people understand, this is a vote that basically all the members of the WGA vote. These are all the people that write all the TV shows and work on all the movies. And some
Not
of
all the TV
not-
shows,
not all
but
the TV shows.
but the good ones where you can make kind of a living if you write for them. Yeah.
and some of the animated shows. And that's an authorization that basically gives the negotiating committee a bargaining chip to say,
Yeah.
hey, if you don't come to the table and make a deal that works for us, we're going to have to go on strike.
Correct. Yeah.
So what are, just so people understand, what is at stake in the negotiation? What are the things that writers are pushing for?
So the television industry and the film industry, over the move to streaming, have transformed in ways that have dramatically hurt everybody in Hollywood, from writers to directors to actors to crews. People might remember, like, even a year and a half ago when IATSE, the crew union, was negotiating their last contract. There were all these stories going around on social media under the hashtag IA stories about crew members working 18-hour days and being expected to come back after getting 5 hours of sleep and stuff like that. Right? That's one impact. On writers, there's a bunch of different things that are impacting us. One of them is that the move to shorter seasons, right? It used to be that a television show was 22 or 26 episodes, and it would run for a couple of seasons. Right now, it's like one season of 8, maybe 2 years later. Oh, here's 6 more, and then it's canceled, right? Now, that's not something we're trying to change because it's not within our power to change. But along with those changes, the studios have made the work of writing much, much more precarious for writers. So a really good example of this is they've created something that's called a mini room, right? Which is it's a little bit of an abstruse thing, but instead of normally, hey, we've greenlit a television show, hire a whole bunch of writers, we're going to pay them all their different rates, we negotiate with them all individually, and they're going to be here for a couple of weeks. Oh, sorry, for a couple of months. With a mini room, they say, hey, we don't want to make a pilot, we just sort of want to get an idea of what the season is going to be like. So why don't we just get 4 writers together, maybe 3, maybe 2, at the lowest rate. Everybody is making the literal minimum in the contract. And could you guys just break a season and write maybe 6 episodes in 6 weeks and just do that really quick for us, and then we'll greenlight it later, right? So that's one problem that we have. Another problem, for example, is the kind of comedy I work in is under our contract is called comedy variety. That basically means late night, like what you're doing a little simulacrum of here. On your podcast,
I gave you such a nice win.
So actually, this is a good
One
example.
more thing for Adam to ruin, I suppose. Unbelievable.
So this is actually a really good example. Let's say you do a wonderful show here. Let's say you go to Netflix. Let's say you go to Netflix, right? As you might be thinking about doing one day, and saying, hey, we'd love to take Lovett or Leave It and put it on Netflix, right? Mm-hmm. And we want to shoot it, we're going to do it once a week or whatever, like John Oliver's show or something like that. If you did it on Netflix, under our current contract, no comedy variety writer has a minimum salary. Like, they could literally pay them $1. And this is true of shows that are on the air right now. Tim Robinson's show, let's see, the Amber Ruffin show on NBC. These people are paid much, much less than anybody else because there's literally no minimum in our contract. They could pay you $1 a week, and that's just something that is true because streaming is new, and they were like, it's too new. We don't want to give you a minimum on that, right? So, and screenwriters who write movies have a whole other bunch of problems, which I could really, if I went into a bunch of detail.
So one thing that about all this, it's just that as someone who's hasn't been following it closely because I stopped writing and then my career took off like a rocket ship.
I mean, there you go. Being a multi-hyphenate, that's the way. That's what we call you.
Yeah,
that's the way to do it.
That's the way to do it. I talk. I sit. So this is it's very clear that we're kind of at the tail end of some kind of a golden age of television, right? There was a ton of shows greenlit. There's never been more working writers than there are right now at this moment. Is some aspect of what's happening that basically it used to be, 30 years ago, you had far fewer shows and far fewer writers. But if you were on one of those shows, you did a lot better. And now, in an era when there's many more shows, much more content being created, but it's basically flatter. And one consequence of that is that there's places where people just aren't doing as well, but more people get to participate.
That's not actually the case because the business is always changing. What's happened is the companies have used that change in the business as an excuse to squeeze everybody, to say, hey, we're not on TV anymore, we're on streaming now, so it's all new contracts, and we're giving you a lot less because, it's experimental, we don't really know what we're doing. But what they're really doing is they're coming up with, their business affairs departments, their HR departments, are coming up with new ways to sort of twist people's contracts or employ them more precariously in order to reduce their compensation. So one of the main, we did a big state of the industry report and a video. And one of the main things is over the last 10 years, like company profits have skyrocketed. They're all claiming that they're losing money.
Right. That's why I asked you about that.
Yeah. So they're all. I don't have the figures right in front of me, but I believe their profits have risen by something like 50% over just the last couple of years. Their profits, not just their revenues. And that's for like all the companies combined. Warner Brothers Discovery is having a bad year because they did their stupid ass merger and they're taking all these write downs and stuff, but their stock price is going up. So like that's not really our concern. If you look at the entire industry, profits are going up. Median writer pay has declined by 23% over the last 10 years. We're making less money on average. That goes from showrunners all the way to staff writers. So when you look at that, you can't say, it's just some little change happened in the business and we need to readjust. They figured out how to fuck us better. That was their plan, and they did a great job. And even if they didn't get together and plot a way to do it, it's just one department and one company figures out, if you structure it this way, you can fuck the writers a little bit. Structure it that way, you fuck the directors a little bit. Then someone at Netflix goes, that's a clever way to fuck people. Let's do that too. And it becomes a common practice, right? And they've come up with all these different ways to do it. And we're trying to plug a bunch of those loopholes and establish standards that writers had, as recently as 15 years ago, and say, no, we expect this to still be a business that, since it's massively profitable, we expect to participate in that and to be able to build a fucking life. If you write for a hit show, or even just a show that goes for a couple seasons, or even just a show that goes for one season. If you write for one season of television, a show that has an aggregate $50 million, $100 million budget, you should be able to live in Los Angeles.
Yeah, if you get to create one season of a perfect sitcom that's canceled because of fucking politics, you should be able to take that money, which is more money than you've ever had in your whole life, and live on it even when you fall into a clinical depression that causes you to have a lost year. Until a friend comes over to your house and says, oh no. What were we talking about? So, this is a moment where you have companies like Disney announcing massive layoffs. Mm-hmm. It feels like there's been a shift, and basically the economy feels more precarious. What is the lesson from what the WGA is trying to do here in a broader sense, right? I've seen people say, this is the wrong time to do this kind of a fight. But then if everything was booming, people say, why pick the fight now? Things are booming. So on the one hand, I understand the argument and I hear it from friends of mine that are like, I'm really worried about this. It's not like things are so great. It feels like things aren't being greenlit like they were. It seems like we're coming out of it's a precarious moment in the industry. But at the same time, there's never a good moment to have a fight like this. Yeah. How do you think about that? About approaching advocating for writers and for writers' share of the work that they're doing at a time when everyone seems to be pulling back and it does seem to be a precarious moment?
Well, so first of all, every 3 years, we renegotiate our contract every 3 years. And every 3 years, they tell you that things are going poorly. I think one thing we have to recognize, they do. They say, they literally give a speech. The producers, in the negotiating room do this every single time. They give a speech. Things are going really bad right now. Oh man, if things are going a little bit better, we could pay you some more. But we just can't. It's just like asking anybody for a raise. It's a bad time. They're always going to say that. I think we need to recognize that The reason the companies are laying people off is because their stock price goes up. They're doing it because Wall Street demands them to. They're not doing it because things are going poorly. Their numbers are going up every single year. You know, these companies are massive. Like Netflix is a hugely profitable company that's run by, you know, a pack of idiots, but it is like, it's truly. It's true. And I say this as someone who
come
has,
on,
you know,
listen, come on, we pitched there, right? Don't we? Come on, Adam. They're a pack of
love to hear
pack of people that are doing their best.
They love it. They're like
pack of people we admire and respect, even if we have differences.
I mean, I'll take it. So that, you know, as you say, there's never a good time. The important thing is the way that the Writers Guild thinks about it, which is unfortunately unique among the Hollywood unions, is that we reserve the right to walk away from a bad deal, right? If you've ever made a deal, you've signed a contract, you know that if you're like, I don't really need this job, I could walk away from it, right? Or at least I'm willing to take the risk of walking away from it, then that's leverage that you have, you know? And if you're like, oh God, I really got to have this, so okay, whatever you want, you know, you have a worse deal. And so the Writers Guild says, you know, we will walk into it knowing and letting the companies know that if we don't get the deal we need, there's a level past which we say, we are not willing to work for less than this. And we're going to tell you what that is. And if you don't want to offer us, or at least negotiate on that point, we're going to walk, you know? And I think that to do that is just a basic form of dignity in yourself and in the work that you have. You know, I think that's something that all workers should, all workers should feel able to do that, right? You say like, sure, I do this job for you right now, but if you don't treat me well, I'm fucking out the door. And if you do that collectively, you know, if it's just you, maybe you're out the door. But if you get your entire, you know, office together and, you know, give that threat to your boss, maybe something gets done. And if we all take that step, the more of us take that step, the better it is for everybody. So look, a lot of people in Hollywood are really worried that you know, if there is a strike, and that is by no means guaranteed, we're going to take our strike authorization vote and then we go back into the negotiating room and we try to get a deal done. But we reserve the right come May 1st to call a strike if they're not willing to negotiate. Now, if there's a strike, that hurts a lot of people who aren't writers. And we're extremely aware of that. And I know a lot of people are trepidatious about that. But there's also a ton of people in town saying, we need you to go win one for everybody. You know, the last time we went on strike in 2007, that was in order to win union coverage of the internet. That was what that was over. It was like, you know, the streaming platforms were starting to be conceived of, and we said, if you want to make television shows for streaming, those have to be Writers Guild shows too. And the companies didn't want to do that. We went on strike for that, and as a result, not only did the Writers Guild win coverage of streaming, so did the Directors Guild, the Screen Actors Guild, and the crew unions as well.
It is an interesting thing that, like, just my experience.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, applaud that. It's interesting. Like, I didn't it's interesting the way there is a way in which the WGA, like, kind of, the other unions are kind of back there being like, go get them. Yeah, man. Yeah. It's funny.
I mean, so there's a way that unions can operate that doesn't mobilize member power, that says, well, you know, the companies have to negotiate with us because that's labor law, and we can lobby Sacramento, and we can, you know, do social media campaigns and stuff like that. And you can get a little bit far with that. And frankly, the majority of American unions take that strategy, because mobilizing member power, which means, you know, getting people organized enough to go on strike and stay on strike if they need to, that's really, really hard. Having a union that runs democratically is really, really hard, because, you know, you have to deal with people who disagree with you, and it's really scary because it takes a risk. And so a lot of unions don't, you know, they're not built that way. They didn't build that over time. The Writers Guild is the only one in the entertainment industry that has been built that way. And so I understand why, you know, not every union takes that strategy. I wish they all did, because I think it's the better strategy to have. But yeah, you know, I'm also a member of the Screen Actors Guild, and
all right, calm down.
Okay.
but last question about this, because I do think a lot of people, like, you know, this is you know, one. You know, there are writers who are successful writers who are part of this guild. They don't just do well; they do better than 90% of people in the country, right? Like, why is this an important thing to be fighting? What is the larger lesson for people that aren't writers that would kill for some of the, like, basically, you know, would kill to have a job that pays what the studio is saying is good enough. You know what I mean? That, like, basically, like, like, what is the lesson outside of sort of Hollywood and entertainment for someone who's not in this industry and thinks, oh, you're complaining about being a TV writer and only making whatever, $10,000 an episode? Boo fucking who for you? What do you say to people that, like, don't see this fight and think that, like, these are cushy fucking jobs for cushy fucking writers?
Sure. So, you know, one of the things we talk about is how it used to be in the 90s, if you wrote on any television show, like any sitcom, for 1 year, you could buy a house in Los Angeles. You could put down a down payment for a mortgage, right? And now people just consider themselves lucky. Oh, thank God I got health insurance again this year. So it's you know, there is that stereotype. It's not true anymore. And part of the fact that it's not true anymore is part of why we're fighting so hard. Now, writers earn more money than, you know, say Unite Here, the hotel union here in LA. That's an incredible union, represents all the hospitality workers. Yes, every working TV writer makes more than those folks. Our business is enormously profitable, and writers are the people who we're the ones who stare at the blank page, right? We come up with the idea for the show, we write the script. It's like initially our work, you know? And so I think it's very fair, at least under the rules of capitalism, which I can argue with, but if a show is making hundreds of millions of dollars, or even if a show, hundreds of millions of dollars are spent making a show, I think a good portion of that should go to the writer, the person who's doing that foundational creative work and has spent their whole career, you know, trying to get to that point. So that's that piece of what you said. As far as what other professions can take from it, the only reason that stereotype exists in the first place is because writers unionized 100 years ago. Actually, this is true. Today is the 90th anniversary of the foundation of the Writers Guild of America. Did you know that? That's really. I just found that out in the green room. It was on our social media. I was like, holy shit. And you know, that was writers in the, what would that have been? The 30s, right? Working under the studio system. Did I do the math right? Okay,
You did great.
Okay, great. Working under the studio system, saying like, oh, we're getting fucked here. We got Louis B. Mayer and all these huge studio honchos grinding us down, and so we need to get together. And the first thing that they fought for was credits. They needed accurate credits. That was the first issue, and they fought for what they needed in that time, and then writers in the subsequent years fought for what they needed at that time. And then because of that strong unionization rate across the whole industry, this became a business where, like, holy shit, if you're just the ink-stained wretch, you know, tapping on the typewriter, you're not the guy with the money, you can actually, you know, have some piece of the wealth of the industry. That was true of the entertainment industry only because of unions, right? Yeah. It's not true of the oil industry or like Wall Street, right? I mean, sure, the bankers make money, but like the tellers don't. You know what I mean? And if you look at when we think of like, oh man, that was a cushy time, right? Where just a worker could like really make some money. You're thinking about a unionized auto worker, right? You're thinking about a unionized television writer. And so if we all take that step in our industries, look at, say, video games. I love video games, right? People making video games should be fucking rich, right? If you're a video game programmer, makes more money than movies do. And yet, talk to these people. They're some of the most overworked, underpaid creative workers in America. What's the difference? Unions, organizing. They have the ability, though. The video game industry right now is just as new as film was in the 30s. If they were to really get together and unionize and organize, holy shit, the amount of improvement they could make in their working conditions. So and that's true of every industry. No matter, you work in a hospital, you work in a school, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I remember when I first came out to LA and I made a TV show, I was actually like, I didn't understand. You was like, oh wow, like you got to experience like an industry that runs on unions, and all the different unions working together to make like a safe and equitable working environment where you have like the union that represents the people doing the work, the union representing the writers, the union representing all the various parts of the crew. And like there were all these rules. And I remember like there was one night where we were shooting really late and they were like, we have 15 more seconds and then we were fucking done. And that isn't because of the law. That was because of the union negotiation. And there are certain rules on a set, which I thought was really cool. And I don't think people know about this, where like there are rules you can bend and then there's rules you simply can't.
Oh, yeah.
And that is because of hard-fought negotiations over many years. And it's this whole architecture of how to make something while respecting these rules. And it was really cool to see. When I first came out here, I didn't understand that because this is a union town and a lot of what we do is unionized.
Yeah.
Adam Conover, thank you so much.
Thank you, folks. You're wonderful. Thanks, man.
Everybody, check out Factually.
Yeah.
Adam Conover, everybody. It was good.